Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the pronouns and all the well-versed people out there. Welcome to our 5th episode of our podcast called Casual Minds.
Sure.
So, the panelists for today are
Google
and Moa Aditya. And the topic of our discussion, is: does everyone have a trigger? The last straw, and if so, what is yours? Please do, after the end of this discussion, please feel free to share your trigger points, breaking points in the comment section, and maybe we can have more interaction on this part later on. But having said that, so this is the topic, the discussion for our today's discussion. Let me start off with a backstory, all right? Let me give you an idea. How did I come up with, or did we come up with this topic? So there was this, once we were having a banter amongst ourselves with a group of friends, and he used the word trigger. While talking, he said that, there was this some discussion he was having with someone, and that person got triggered, and that was when it intrigued us, and then after that I saw this series, South Korean series called The Trigger. In that South Korean series, basically what happened was they had shown different sort of people, all right, different characters in that series, and how every person had a trigger, a breaking point beyond which they just went berserk. They just went crazy. You know what I mean? They could not control their mind anymore. And that was an intriguing aspect, and that made me think maybe that is a point for every one of us. Of course, someone goes crazy with it, someone are able to control. Similarly, you must have seen that one as well, the adolescence, right, wherein the kid was pushed to a point wherein he had to commit, right? I mean, you know that, right? I mean, where that kid was also made to do the things that he unfortunately did not probably want to do, but he was helpless. Maybe, I mean, that came out of that. So considering all that, so that made me think, that probably every one of us has a trigger point. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think? Do you think that's the case as well?
I believe so, because I think triggers are nothing but some sort of emotional red buttons for people, right? Mm-hmm. And that gets pressed once in a while. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. That's how I like to believe it.
Yeah,
but
that's a good analogy.
I also believe it in a way that triggers are not happening because of any momentary thing that's happening to you right now,
right.
But it comes with a lot of baggage. When I say baggage, I mean that because of a lot of past experience,
right,
or maybe something that has been happening to you in a recurring basis,
right,
but somehow you are reacting to that fact on a very later point of time,
right,
and you are behaving in a way that it's very different for the other person who's watching you or is with you. They'll be like, why is that person reacting in such a weird way? Right. So
it's like a volcano which keeps on building up,
exactly.
And then eventually something happens right? Erupts.
That's why I say it's a emotional red button that gets pressed once in a while.
Yeah.
So you don't see people freaking out a lot
on a daily basis.
Yeah,
right.
But there are certain people, obviously, you will see getting triggered on a daily basis.
Really?
But also you will see people who
but then
know.
Even those who get triggered on a daily basis, right? Yeah. There has to be some triggering point.
Correct.
I mean, or are you saying it's some sort of a mental deficiency that they get, at a very drop of a pin, they get triggered? Someone drops something, oh my god, they will get triggered. Is it?
Yes. So this is where the point also comes, right? So let's say when we have come across a friend, let's say, who gets triggered very often, right? But
Have you?
I have, I think.
Really?
I have a couple
Spill
of
the beans.
Yeah.
Spill the beans.
We all have that sort of.
No, spill the beans.
Yeah.
Tell us a story
So
of your crazy friend who has gone, who has been triggered.
We'll not name anybody.
No. Okay. X. Right.
So the thing is that I have a couple of friends who have seen that they get triggered, and when I'm saying triggered, it's also saying respectfully that they also at times don't are not able to manage their emotions properly, and the outburst happens, right?
Exactly.
This is like how you describe, and not like getting triggered people take it as an offense also, right? So not in that way. So the thing is that I believe that I have met that friend in a very later point of time in my life. Maybe like I was introduced to him or her 10 years or 5 years back, right? I don't have a clue on how his upbringing or her upbringing was, right?
Makes sense.
What sort of traumas he had during his childhood.
That's an important aspect,
how his parenting was, right? How his school was mostly, right? Because if you have watched adolescence, because that was a part of your how you came up with this topic, right? So you would understand that the entire story sums up to a point where you understand that the child had a very bad school life where he was bullied, or there was a lot of peer pressure that happened, right? So technically he was getting challenged by his peers, right? And also was getting bullied by his peers, and he somehow kept it inside him for a very long period of time. And if you know the story, the girl somehow reacted to the guy and he couldn't take it, and finally he killed the girl, because not just because why the girl told him something, but also comes with the other things like the peer pressure, and also the peers bullying him and all of those things, right?
All the pent up emotions and the pressures and whatnot finally.
Correct. So this is why I say that the people who are reacting a lot on a daily basis or getting triggered on a daily basis might have different problems in their childhood or while they are growing up. So it has added up to a level to that extent that their level of tolerance has come down on a certain factors, maybe, right?
I mean, with that respect, you're right. I mean, if I'm getting it right, so to an extent, would you, if it is, then it becomes invariably that how we are born and brought up, or rather not born and brought up, that may not be the right word, maybe the present modern life, the present lifestyle of ours, the present surroundings of ours, that also then plays a very integral part in our those trigger points, maybe in our mental stability, maybe. I mean, I'm trying to like probably differentiate here. Points are also being activated or being affected by your lifestyle, your present modern life, your present social life, your peers, your friends and family. All these things all have a trigger. Do you think that contributes towards your breaking points?
Absolutely, 110% on that. Because if you look at it in a way that we are living in a life, the modern life that we are in right now, we are always surrounded by our peers, our friends, and also I think social media is also a thing that plays a very, very vital role. Why we say that is that
we spend so much time on social media nowadays, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we are doing this podcast for social media stuff, right?
True, absolutely.
So the thing is that our modern life, in a day-to-day basis, consumes a lot of time into the social media, right? And also, I think there are multiple factors. Let's say a person who's working, right? The kind of work he's having, the kind of colleagues he's having, the kind of boss he has or she has, right? So all of this plays a very important factor, right? Let's say,
and honestly, to be honest, just to interject you, in our professional life, that is where now, once you're an adult, once you start working, that is where you spend most of your time.
Exactly.
8 hours you spend there.
Correct.
Yeah, carry on.
And the same thing, when you are a child, you spend most of it in school.
Exactly. Right. So that has been replicated.
Yeah. Correct. So it's a very common thing here, right? So the thing is that, let's say, people nowadays say that parenting is very important and all, which is. But trust me, you as a parent will say, I've done everything right in my life. Yeah, how did this happen? Because that was the same question asked in adolescence, right? The parents were questioning that we have done everything possible for our kid. We are present for our, we are not absent parents or anything, right?
Exactly.
But still, how did he
turned out to be like that?
True, right?
True.
Because this is also a thing that because most of his time he was at school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And parents get to know what sort of school it is.
Right.
You don't get to see what sort of people he's around what sort of media he's consuming with his friends.
True,
right?
true.
If he's getting bullied or not, because as you already mentioned that there are two kinds of people, right? One who's getting all of this trauma
Feed
and all of, and they are consuming it and keeping it inside.
Right.
And there are another kind of people who are like getting all of it and exploding.
Right.
This silent people, they go home and implode within himself, and that comes out in a very different way.
Totally.
And the same thing happened for this guy, because the kind of character it showed on the movie, right? You could never imagine a guy like this would do a crime like that, right?
Exactly.
To that level.
I mean,
So I think it's very important what sort of surrounding you are at any point of your age, right? It can be your corporate, it can be school, it can be your life or anything, right? And also talking about social media again, nowadays you are filled with content that can be regarding politics, that can be regarding very controversial things like Andrew Tate is a guy who was giving very misogynistic statements and all of those things. So there are certain people who are consuming that and they are a fan.
Yeah.
And when you have political content as well, there will be people who will have multiple views on them, right?
True.
Multiple aspects of thought and all, right?
True.
So these things can also incur some sort of trigger in you.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely. Totally. I totally agree with that. Especially when you consume all different kinds of things, right? Whether it be Andrew Tate's, whether it be political people who are extremely bipolar in a way, in their opinions, in their thoughts and whatnot, right? Very opinionated, and then you start following it, but then that aspect of what you truly believe and what you would want to do for, or what you can, the distance that you would go to prove your point or prove your belief for, right? There is always a certain, that edge, that line. Most of our normal people, we may have strong beliefs, but not necessarily beyond the point we cannot, cross over that line. Like for our belief, normal people I'm talking about, of course, that we will not go on a killing spree just because I am not being accepted for a particular viewpoint. At most I will not speak with that person. I will just I will just go and be with someone else. But when you hear instances wherein these, especially in many of the countries, wherein these young kids or maybe even adults who actually come out and start literally spraying bullets on people and literally try to inflict pain on others who they have absolutely no interaction or relationship with. So then that becomes a different aspect of your a level of your pain or a trauma which you could not. Your heart and your mind was not in sync. Your mind just took over. Then it makes us wonder probably that maybe the company that you keep plays an important role.
Absolutely.
If you have that sort of a company wherein it aggravates your trauma or aggravates your mental agony, then even if you have a very understanding family, unfortunately, because and it's a very strange thing though, even when you go through those mental agonies and trauma, you hardly share it with the people that you're most close to. Have you realized that? Because if you do it, then probably it can be, alleviated, right? But you hardly, when you have a mental trauma, when you have a tremendous problem, you will not go and talk to your parents.
Correct.
Probably you will go to a friend. Now, if that friend is able to calm you down, amazing. But if the friend is just the opposite of it, who aggravates you, then it becomes, a different kind of a thing. Of course, we are no experts in this, probably at the end of the day. But having said that, then invariably the next point which comes, how in certain cases, right, when you're having a discussion with people, right, you will find that there are certain phrases or certain things, right, that they do. Like, for example, you're having heated, full-on conversation or full-on discussion or a thing with someone, right?
Yeah.
Or playing with something, and that person says something or does something, right? Certain phases, certain things.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
like, oh my God, why the hell did you say that? And then it's like boom, right? Does it happen? Yes, such phrases and such things like that.
I kind of believe that I am a very sorted person. Okay?
Right.
I get triggered, but I try to control my emotions most of the time.
Right.
But I've also noticed that there are a couple of instances which you already mentioned right now. Some phrases, when you hear, you're like,
Yeah, true.
damn.
Yeah, now why now?
Now I'm lost. So the thing is that you are a human. You have friends and you love them. You have your parents. You love them. You have your girlfriend. You have your wife and all. Right? You have arguments.
Right.
And I am trying to control myself and trying to okay, let's not hurt that person. Let's be sane. You hear their problems and you kind of explain your problem and all. Right. But I have also observed that there are certain people, including me, that there are few phrases which, when they hear or I hear, we lose it.
Right.
So, for example, for me, there's a phrase called chill, right? And we often use it.
Chill.
Chilling around, let's chill. I'm fine.
You're fine.
But somehow, let's say I'm having an argument with my girlfriend or my wife or somebody, right? Or my friend. If we're fighting and all, and like, okay, you chill, okay? So why does that trigger me?
Right.
And I got like, why do you say this, man? Why do you have to say chill?
Right.
Let's sort it. We're sorting it out, right? Why are you saying chill? So it freaks me out.
Right.
So that's my trigger here.
Right.
But the thing is that I have also taken some time and I've tried to understand why this happens.
Right.
So what I've come to understand from during I was thinking about it, right? So I understood that I feel that when that guy or my friend is saying chill, I feel that I'm being unheard.
I was coming to that. Right. Totally.
Right? That's what I feel. He's like,
right.
He just wants to bypass
this issue.
And like, okay, you just be yourself.
Right.
You relax, man.
Relax.
So that is the kind of thing.
Right.
It's like you're not hearing me out, or you're not understanding me.
What I'm trying
you're
to
just
say.
trying to get away of the situation just because you're not getting my point of view. So rather saying, okay, you tell me or explain it in a better way so that I can understand.
Yeah.
You just want to go away from this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think that is something, and also I think for a lot of people they also feel this is humiliating.
Right.
So I don't think the humiliating thing has happened for me.
Yeah.
But I've seen this thing happens to a lot of people. So one of my friend gets triggered when I say shut up.
Right.
So it's like, let's say you are having a very normal discussion. Not even a fight.
Right.
You're like, come on, shut up, don't say this.
Oh,
and
like
that person
that.
gets triggered.
Right.
Not even a fight. Okay, just normal discussion. So like, he has an issue with that thing. Like, this is now I've tried to understand why that person get triggered in a normal conversation, because
Absolutely.
in a normal conversation I'm not saying that you are being unheard or something.
Right.
But still I've not been able to figure out why this happens.
Exactly.
But maybe something is there which is yet out of my understanding, right?
No, true. No, but you are very right on that. When you say there are certain things and phrases, right? And I have also realized, right, when someone, and I think a trigger point is also that when you talk to someone, you're trying to tell that person something, and that person ignores. Maybe an ignoring part, what you said, right?
Yes.
That unheard part. I think I could feel you, I could understand where you were coming from, that I am trying to explain something to you. So when you say things like chill, or you do not react, or ignore, like go off or something like that, then it means one aspect is there, which is that humiliation. But why? I mean, I am a human being talking nicely to you. Least you could do is respond. Okay,
Exactly.
you don't want to listen to me, say that. You have a point, say that, right? And the second point, then why would you ignore?
Correct.
I mean, that ignoring part makes us believe that as if we are nameless, we are no one, without someone, without an identity or existence, right? And that can have a tremendous effect. I think it does have a tremendous effect, and if it keeps on happening on a regular basis, like every place where you go, every person that you talk to, everybody reacts in that way to you, then invariably you start to internalize that, I think.
Correct.
And then that pent up emotions that you said I mean, like shoop, 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 shoop. It has to. At one point of time, it has to. And I've seen it happening so many times with people, wherein for most of the things, they are like, most of the, what do you call that? Heavy stuff, like major arguments, they are very calm and quiet.
Yes.
But something very frivolous,
Yes,
which you will
exactly.
never think that he
Yeah.
will react to it.
Correct.
He just booms.
Exactly.
He or she just booms,
Yeah.
and you think, what just happened? And then you start thinking, something,
Yeah.
those trigger points are there, those
Correct.
like breaking points are there, which you cannot mess with. But do you also realize? Do you think that we as an individual, because I'm sure even I have a trigger point, I do not deny it, and I can also see it, feel it sometimes when I get triggered. All right, I can feel it, but at that point of time, we go with the flow and whatnot. But of course, not to the extent that you will go on a killing spree or something of that kind. But so everybody has a trigger. But do you reckon that people realize their trigger points? Do you think that, for example, even if I take yours, you said you do realize your trigger points, what makes you, triggers you and what does not trigger you. So do you think most of the people, whoever you are interacting with, they also at some level realize that this is my trigger point? Or do you also think that they know what is the other's trigger point? So that they make sure that they trigger you.
Okay, so I think I'll start with myself here.
Right.
I think here are 2 points. First is that there are certain aspects of me which I know that if this thing happens, I'll get triggered. Okay. So the very first thing is that the word thing I said, whenever you're arguing or something, the chill thing freaks you out, right?
Freaks you out, yeah.
Now, the second aspect of it is that there are multiple triggers in which I don't even know yet.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you like couple of instances. Okay, so you must know that India has a huge road race issue, right?
Right, road race.
So,
totally.
So while I was in Pune, right, I was riding my bike home, right, from office. So my phone was dying. It was raining, right, and it was late. I was coming back to home late night. Huge traffic because of the rain. So these are the number of things that had happened. You maybe had a bad day also, okay, bad office. Some car just passes by you, you're like,
and you start shouting.
You freak. You're like, you are abusing that, and he's abusing you. You are shouting. You are way out of your normal behavioral situations, right? Yeah.
Usually you would not behave like that.
You don't behave like now. Right. That thing is gone. You are riding back again. You are questioning yourself.
Yeah, but
why did I react like that? Why did I shout at him? I don't do this kind of stuff, right? Then you analyze, okay, maybe all of this that was pumping me up for a while, and that came out to the driver for doing a very small inconvenience thing to me.
But tell me one thing though.
Yeah.
But we also rationalize. I tell you how. So say something of this had happened.
Yeah.
No, it was not my fault. Then we are thinking it was his fault. If he had not done it, I would not have reacted that way.
And also we rationalize in a way that, I think my reaction was
normal
because I had such a bad day. It was raining also. My phone was also dead, right? It was fine.
I've been totally.
Yeah, I think I have done that too.
Yeah, you have. I'm sure. Because it is so. I think it is very hard for us to accept our faults because once you start doing it, because see, it's like a twofold thing, right? Come to think about it. So first, someone else ignores you. So there is, or someone else does not give you the kind of respect that you would otherwise want, or attention you want. So that is one thing. And on top of it, if you start blaming yourself, victimize yourself, it is like a double whammy on yourself, right? Okay. So someone else is, ignoring you, that is a humiliation or whatever you might call it. And then on top of it, if you then rationalize saying that, no, he is right the way he's treating me, so then that becomes a double whammy. If that happens, then, isn't it like we will be reaching our breaking point even, quickly, correct, more quicker than otherwise we would have otherwise. So I think it is, in a way, it is okay if we try to rationalize our actions. Maybe it is a hubris sometimes because our wrong actions also we start to justify.
I also think that when we rationalize ourselves, right, that also calms us down.
Calms us down. But then wrong actions we cannot rationalize.
Exactly.
I mean, that is not possible. I mean, it is
this
possible.
is not a.
We won't improve.
This is not a defense. This is like a human mechanism that happens with us.
Coping mechanism.
Yeah. But the thing is that I am not saying that this is what we should be
practicing. Yeah.
But
sometimes
trying to understand that we do it.
We do it.
And why we do it.
Yeah.
We do it for the fact that we shouted and did this thing. We are angry and we're going back home. We're rationalizing this fact and this helps us come on. Okay, my action was justified because all of these things happened.
Right.
It's gone.
Right.
But when you start to blame yourself, okay, it's your fault. Well, you shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Then you still stay mad or you still stay frustrated for that thing that you have done.
Right. And probably the madness at that point of time is also more on you.
Exactly.
Than
the
that
person who's done that.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
And it's a very intricate thing. I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, human mind, man. I mean, emotions, mind. We are like a complex being.
Yeah.
I mean, we are not meant to be like simple at all.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that brings us to our final part of this particular discussion. That is, when you get triggered, right? When you reach that breaking point or whatever annoys you to an extent, how do you then try to calm yourself? Do you have like a mechanism by which you can, quieten your mind if it goes crazy? Is there a way you try to address that issue?
Yeah. So there are instances where I was triggered, right? But gradually with time I have learned how to handle those.
Right.
So there is no blueprint of it, or
Right.
there is a step-by-step process that I can
Absolutely.
tell you that okay, this is how I address those, or I have able to take care of those triggers, right? So it's more like when those triggers happen, right?
Right.
After a while or something, if you are able to sit with yourself, and when I say sit with yourself, I mean that you are not having any sort of distraction, which is like maybe some sort of social media or friends around. You're like just by yourself, right? So why I'm saying this, because during my school days or just after my school days or my college days, I used to get angry or you can say get triggered by more number of instances than I have right now. So how that happened, because I was walking from Pune and I was staying all by myself, right? So I got a lot of opportunity to just be with myself and not have distraction on TV or phone or anything, right? So I kind of did a lot of self-talk that if any of my trigger happened, why that happened, and what could be the root cause of that, right?
Makes sense. I
kind of started to
analyze.
Started,
self-reflection,
and all, right?
So
I think a lot of people should practice this, because that kind of gives you a lot of answer to all of these questions that you have. But
but then different people will have different ways of dealing with their issues.
There are people who might get some sort of help. There might be some people who will get absolute help from it, right?
Absolutely.
But there will be people who might not get any help out of it, right?
True.
There are professional help. They can reach out to their peers, friends, family, partner, right?
I guess.
So there are multiple ways, right? But the only thing is that you should not be sitting with all of this and be sad about it, or be anxious about all of these things. Why I'm getting bullied? Why these things happening to me? Why people are not respecting me, or all of those problems that we're having, right?
But then we are humans, right? So we will be, once we face that, we will feel,
you will feel bad. But I think when these things start to pile up, right? This can be a result of future trigger that might be happening, and you might never know at what place or what situation these triggers will come to you, right? So maybe if you start to handle these things beforehand, and you can reach out to your friends and all, right?
That makes
sense.
Maybe
that will help people a lot.
Totally. If not, I mean, definitely there is no harm in taking professional help as well.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, it's very important, I think, before even if you can take that step, is to acknowledge that there is something to take help for.
Correct.
Or even to analyze, right? I mean, that is very important. But she rightly said, either you work on yourself, by yourself, with someone, with a professional or a friend, does not matter, but as long as you do it, just don't keep it idle.
Absolutely.
That's the final point, right? So pretty much we are at the end of our discussion. To wrap it up, So pretty much what we have finally not concluded in our discussion that we have summarized. If I have to summarize it, then I would like to say that it is not to neglect the trigger points that you may have. All right, choose your surroundings very carefully. All right, possibly. I mean, that's how our individual experiences would be from. And if help is needed, not to be shy.
And just to cut you off here is that you're absolutely okay if you have trigger points.
Yeah. Probably.
Nothing to be judged around or nothing. It's everybody has, somebody accepts it, somebody doesn't, but everybody has, and I can be like, okay, I'm sure about this because I've seen people around me, and I think you have done the same.
Yeah, totally. There are, and as you rightly said, nothing to be ashamed about. Yeah. So and finally, guys, we would like you to share your comments as well. If you have any trigger points, what are your trigger points? And if you do have, then how did you cope? Any anecdotes that you can share? Any stories that you can share? That will be amazing. Maybe we can, if we find that we can extend it to have a follow-on discussion on this topic as well, we will do that. So kindly, do share, do subscribe, do view. That's more important thing. And thank you. We'll conclude today. Cheers. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.